This weather. You're watching KRCR News Channel 7. Get the facts right.
The Delta fire burning in the Shasta Trinity National Forest has grown to over 36,000 acres, still at 0% containment. Good evening, and thank you for joining us on this special edition of KRCR News Channel 7 at 4:30. The Delta fire has shut down Interstate I-5 near the California-Oregon border in both directions. Authorities said Friday that the highway will remain closed at least until tomorrow. All evacuations and road closures remain in effect. Evacuation shelters are in place at Mercy Oaks in Redding and at the National Guard Armory in Mount Shasta. All traffic is stopped at Lakehead. Lakehead residents with ID are allowed beyond this closure. Everyone else will be detoured. For southbound traffic, I-5 is closed at Mott Road, 3.6 miles south of Mount Shasta. Dunsmuir residents are allowed beyond this closure. Everyone else will be detoured. Further south, all traffic is stopped at Gibson Road. The Shasta County Sheriff's Office has issued mandatory evacuations for residents along the I-5 corridor from exit 707 at Volmers North to exit 714 at Gibson. A structure fire broke out in the area of Quartz Hill Road and McLeod Road in Redding about an hour ago. That fire has since been contained. At this point, CAL FIRE is unsure about how the fire started. We will update you as soon as any new information becomes available. The Curlin fire has grown to 1,625 acres and remains at 0% containment. An evacuation order remains in effect for residents along County Road 311 from Lake Mountain Ranch to Dead Man's Point. The American Red Cross has opened an evacuation shelter at the Solid Rock Church located at the intersection of Highway 3 and Tule Creek Road in Hayfork. And the Hers fire has burned more than 46,000 acres and is 89% contained. According to the U.S. Forest Service, the Hers fire continues to hold within its perimeter with no new growth. They also said as the fire suppression needs have decreased, resources and equipment may be removed off the fire line, and many of these resources have been assigned to the Delta fire. Well, coming back to the Delta fire, it is spreading west towards Trinity County. Residents remain concerned with about 280 structures still threatened and some already burned. KRCR News Channel 7's Megan Mackey talked with fire officials today about where that fire is heading and what officials say is the main concern this weekend.
The Delta fire started on Wednesday, and fire officials are remaining hopeful this weekend with a slight weather change. Officials say right now they are focused on getting the fire lines completed and reinforced.
Firefighters today are the biggest challenge that we're looking at is, again, going to be the fire behavior. We hope for a slightly more moderate fire behavior, less extreme, with the slight weather change that we've seen.
But the flames are not the only thing they're up against. Trees crashed in the distance as the tree trunks burned from the inside, causing them to become weak and fall over.
We've already had multiple firefighters killed this year based on trees falling.
With trees falling throughout the burned areas, the area of concern for firefighters right now is Trinity County as the fire burns north and northwest.
The area between here and Trinity County is very desolate. There's not a good road system in place. It's difficult for the firefighters to gain access, not only to the area, but to also operate in the area due to the steepness of the topography.
Fire officials also say it is challenging for the firefighters to work in that area because it is difficult to flee from if they needed to outrun the flames. With a slight change in weather, they are hoping to gain more ground and contain the flames. With many residents still evacuated, the wildlife also remains displaced running along the interstate. Reporting on the Delta fire, Megan Mackey, KRCR News Channel 7.
Well, here's a live look over Redding today from our Mercy Skycam. The smoke to me seemed slightly less thick than yesterday, but it sounds like the conditions are still very dangerous. Let's turn it over to First Alert forecaster Jeff Andrews with a look at that forecast.
Well, Julia, the disclaimer, it varies hour to hour, location to location. What you just, it has improved a little bit for Redding. This is a look at the Mount Shasta City skyline from their camera. It looks like a dark winter day, actually. Air quality right now, Mount Shasta, this station's north of Mount Shasta. It's showing yellow for moderate, Redding a bit of an improvement for the orange. That sensor is actually in Anderson. Like I said, it varies location to location. You don't have to go very far to see the change. The Antler station, that's very close. It's south of the Delta fire, 91 degrees. Look at that humidity, 9%. The important part, the winds are very light at this point. Here's temperatures elsewhere. 85 Hayfork, 84 for Weaverville. Valley temperatures mainly in the 90s, 96 Redding. Chico's at 91 right now. 82, a little bit cooler for Alturas. Now, what we're getting off the black and white satellite here, you can see that strong westerly flow. That's about 10,000 feet up. That's aloft. Behind that, you see the hazy conditions. That's all up and down north and south of the valley. And here's what we can see as far as the smoke plume from the Delta fire. It actually goes quite a ways from the north to the south, too. The heat activity picked up. I'm not seeing a lot of movement to the west. The dark red and the red is what we're looking for. This came out at 2 o'clock this afternoon. We'll talk more about that shortly. Back to you, Julia.
Thanks, Jeff. Well, cars, trucks, and big rigs packed the streets of Boerne today as the I-5 detour around the Delta fire diverted traffic through downtown Boerne, crowding businesses and causing major traffic changes in the quiet town. KRCR News Channel 7's Brianna Haney visited the small town today to see what the increased traffic means for business owners and residents.
It's been crazy busy the last few days. I'd have to say yesterday was the busiest day. It was pretty packed. As tables were leaving, more were coming in, some people even waiting.
Sarah Welsh works at Anna's Country Kitchen in Boerne, her sister's restaurant. She says the I-5 detour around the Delta fire is bringing in more customers than usual to Boerne. And they're not alone.
It's actually been exciting, busy, chaotic, good for our community, obviously. And I think I want to put fun because I like being busy.
Just across the street, the USA gas station hums with busy travelers.
Even my boss just called this morning to see if she needed to come in.
But all of this business comes at a price. They say some drivers on the detour have been acting recklessly.
We've had several accidents since this started, up and down 299, yes. Actually, there was one this morning.
And Sarah says she actually had a close call from the detour.
I was the second car on accident in just past Fender's Ferry Road at the cemetery. And there was a gentleman that was trapped, and there was another person that had hit them, and they were both life flighted out, and so that was pretty hard.
Both agree impatience is the biggest problem they've seen. But not everyone is letting the traffic get to them. Drivers like Roger are just trying to take it slow.
Just something that happened, and they're making the detour, not raising a fuss.
Their message for everyone taking the detour:
we're all in this together. Please slow down and have more patience.
Reporting in Boerne, Brianna Haney, KRCR News Channel 7.
Coming up, a pipeline firm was found guilty of 9 criminal charges in the 2015 Santa Barbara oil spill yesterday. Plus, a trial date has been set for the 2 defendants involved in the deadliest building fire in the history of Oakland. Those stories and more coming up on KRCR News Channel 7 at 5:30. And her son in a road rage incident. How that attack unfolded when we return.
Coming, he stays with it, he delivers the dime under pressure and rallies his team to a victory. A fun guy to watch, and I'm not sure there's any quarterback I'd rather have if the game's on the line than Trace McSorley. He's